Hello, Aubrey. How are you?
I'm great. How are you doing?
Doing good, Aubrey. So let's talk a little bit today about time prepositions. Do you find time prepositions difficult in the languages that you've learned, like French? I know you're fluent in French.
Yes.
Do you find that hard?
But these were during, from, between. They work differently in French and sometimes Spanish.
Yeah.
So it is confusing. I can understand why. I make mistakes in French with these. This is difficult, and you need to be able to use these on IELTS.
Yeah, sometimes a lot of the mistakes come from trying to translate directly from your native language into that language, and that just leads to a big mess, right?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Prepositions work differently across languages. This is one of the major reasons that you can't translate directly.
Yes, and then of course we want to turn this into a high score on IELTS, so that's why the stakes get even higher. So guys, hit the follow button right here on the podcast so you don't miss a single episode of the show. We publish twice a week right here on IELTS Energy. All right?
Yes, exactly. So we're especially talking about IELTS Writing Task 1 today.
Yes.
Where if you have changeover time questions, you are going to have to use these prepositions of time. So we'll give some good examples here, but even if you're not taking academic IELTS, these will be very useful for IELTS speaking questions to talk about when things happened. And also Task 2, this could come up as well.
Okay, so this is all around going to be a useful episode, yeah?
Absolutely. Yes.
Okay, good. Where do we start today, Aubrey?
Yeah, so you have to be ready to use time prepositions in English to describe those charts and graphs that you're going to see on IELTS Writing Task 1. So often what we'll see, students will make mistakes with during, from, to, with dates, and between, and on Task 1. So today we're going to give you tips on using these correctly. We'll talk about what a changeover time essay is and give you lots of examples so you can use these correctly.
Yeah, and Aubrey, over your career here, I mean, you've been doing IELTS for more than 5 years. You have seen tons of Task 1 essays, right? So you could say this with confidence that these are the mistakes that you've seen, right?
Exactly. I see this mistake a lot where students will write, for example, during 2012 to 2024, produce sales rose from $2,000 to $4,000, right? This is a big, very common mistake. It's easy to do, especially if you're translating directly from your first language.
It sounds like a translation from Spanish, I think. Yes, absolutely.
Yes, potentially, or French.
Or French. Yeah, we don't want to do that. So, okay, how can we fix this mistake then? Where do we go?
So let's first just make sure we're clear about what this is, a change over time essay. So there are different types of essays, charts, and graphs that you'll get on Academic Task 1. One of them we call change over time because it shows multiple months or years and how information changed over that period of time. Static is the other type of essay where it shows one snapshot in time. It doesn't show how that information changed over time. So the vocabulary that you use, the way you describe this information will be different.
Yeah, so the two types of essays, just to recap, are change over time and static. Are those the only two types of Task 1 essays that we're going to see?
There are also process diagrams, so those work a little differently, but when it comes to pie charts, bar charts, graphs, they will either be change over time or static.
Okay, that's really important to know. We've got to get the basics down here first, right?
Absolutely.
Make sure we've got that. So tell us about the phrases we might use to talk about time.
Yeah, so for change over time, you have to describe how that information changed over time. You can't just say this increased, this decreased. It has to be vocabulary that shows that you can analyze what changed over a period of time. So we're going to share these 3 prepositions of time that you'll need and how to use them. So let's start with during. When would we use this word, Lindsay?
So when there's one point in time after another point, or what? Let's see. So let's give some examples.
During, and then we use one point in time after this, right? We can't use it when we're sharing a starting and an ending point. This is what the mistake we see the most often.
Yes.
During, and then a start date and an end date. It can't be used that way.
Right. So for example, we could say laptop purchases decreased during 2022. Or during the year 2022, right?
Yeah, right. During April, it's going to be one set moment in time after during. It's not showing a range of time when we use the word during.
Very important. Or the price of soda increased during the summer of 2012. Maybe it was a really hot summer, right?
Exactly. A lot of soda being imbibed. Or during the first part of the year, produce sales skyrocketed. Exactly. So it can be you'll see there's a lot of different vocabulary options here during 2022,
Yes.
during the summer of 2012, during July, during the first part of the year, a lot of options, but none of those show a range of time that provides a starting and ending point.
Yeah. So anytime we're seeing during, we're using during, there should not be 2 points. It's just 1, right?
Exactly.
Okay. That's pretty clear. How about number 2?
Yeah, so 2 is when you are sharing a starting and ending point. We can say from the starting point to and the ending point. For example, the price of wheat increased from June to September.
Good. Okay. Excellent. Or from 2013 to 2016, student enrollment plunged to 300. Huh?
Yeah, or starting in June, sales jumped from 1.5 million euros to 3 million euros. So you can see how flexible this is. It's not just about
not just for
2 time periods. It could be 2 amounts, right? It's showing from one to the next.
That's important to point that out. Absolutely. Okay, Aubrey. And then the last one is between and. Tell us about that.
Exactly. So here you're going to have a starting and ending point as well. It works very similarly to from to, but the words are between and. So it's good to have all of these so you can switch it up. You don't want to repeat prepositions, just like you don't want to repeat any vocabulary on IELTS essays.
Yes, totally. So here's some examples. Between May and February, the price of soda dove from $3.12 to $1.50 per can. Oh, wouldn't that be nice?
Wouldn't that be nice? Or smartwatch purchases plunged from 1,000 to 500 between 2012 and 2020. So you can see it could be an amount that we're changing between and. It could be a date. Just like from to, it's a little flexible that way. But when you use this language, you are sharing a starting point and an ending point.
And an important side point here, not what today's about, but it's important to know we're not just always saying increase, decrease, went up, went down. That's very robotic in band 6, isn't it, Aubrey?
Exactly. Yes. Notice the language here. Plunged, jumped, skyrocketed, right? Dove. We're using this band 9 vocabulary to describe these numbers. It's not that easy to pull in a lot of high scoring vocabulary when you're describing charts and numbers. This is the way you do it, to use more interesting and less common words to describe how much the numbers changed.
I love it. But how do we practice this? I mean, how... Right, because these are scenarios we don't necessarily come across every day. We have to go seek out some content, don't we?
Exactly, right? So look at a newspaper and look for those graphs, tables, and charts when data is shown. And every time you see one, write a sentence about it using these prepositions. And make sure to keep these rules in mind. If you're saying during, it's going to be 1 point in time. From to, between and, you'll have a starting point and an ending point.
Love that. I love that. So just kind of looking for content. And it's more interesting too, if you're using real life content that you're seeing in the newspaper, right? Instead of just working through practice books for IELTS.
Exactly. You also want to look at the descriptions in the business and finance sections of any data. And when you spot a sentence that's describing how information changed over time, write that down. Analyze the vocabulary that was used. Is this something you could use? Could you improve upon it?
And then when you spot an accurate sentence that's describing change over time graphs and charts, we want to write it down, right? Whether we see that, I don't know, on IELTS practice essay, or where would we see that, Aubrey? Just sort of
in the business or finance sections. Anytime you see data analyzed, discussed, right?
Yes.
Polls that are reported, you're going to see these types of sentences where it shows how information changes over time.
So good. Aubrey, are we going to put something on the blog that our listeners should check out?
Yes, you want to come and check out the blog, allearsenglish.com. We are going to post a chart that compares sales of different trees over like a 30-year period. And we want you to practice. Write a task 1 essay using today's prepositions to describe this information and how it changed over time.
Good. So if you're having a hard time finding data, we have something on the blog just to use that right away to get started with practicing. If you're feeling motivated after today's episode, that's the place to go, right?
Absolutely. It's not enough to know about these prepositions. You have to write your own Task 1 essays. You have to work with them so that on test day, you're very comfortable and confident describing the data from these charts and graphs.
Yeah, and I think that's the takeaway. We want to be ready to describe change over time, charts and graphs when it comes to academic Task 1, Aubrey, right?
Exactly. Practice with today's prepositions so that you are ready for test day.
Awesome. Good stuff today, guys. Hit the follow button on IELTS Energy if you love our show. All right. Great
Awesome.
stuff.
See you next time, Lindsay.
All right. Take care, Aubrey. Bye-bye.
Bye.